On Tuesday, Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders took a walking tour of the epicenter of the Baltimore Uprising, Sandtown-Winchester.
A quarter of the buildings in this community are abandoned.
Accompanied by pastors, including Jamal Bryant of the Empowerment Temple, in an attempt to boost his appeal among African-American voters.
It was the place of CVS, pharmacy. What is amazing, Senator, is the media shifted the narrative. Never in the history of riots is the focus on one store.
Sanders visited Gilmore Homes, where Freddie Gray lived and was arrested. Sanders said he was shocked by the conditions he witnessed.
Well, it is stunning that we're less than an hour away from the White House and the United States Congress. And it is stunning to understand that we are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And every year we are seeing more and more millionaires and more billionaires, but in communities like this, what we're seeing is kids dropping out of school, being in bad schools, being in dilapidated housing, and it's time to transform our national priorities. Invest in our kids, invest in affordable housing, invest in education, invest in jobs. 51% of young African American kids in this country are unemployed or underemployed. That is a national tragedy. That has got to change. And it's got to change for human reasons. So we don't want to see lives destroyed. But even if you're a conservative, it's got to change for fiscal reasons. Because you save money when you create jobs and education rather than locking people up.
Give us safe and livable
It's a very expensive proposition to be locking people up. Better to invest in housing and jobs and education.
The Real News' Stephen Janis questioned Sanders about how his jobs programs would be different from past attempts to address poverty through government subsidies to developers.
And number one, when you invest $1 trillion over 5 years, you create 13 million decent paying jobs. And in addition to that, you can create a whole lot of jobs rebuilding not only our crumbling infrastructure, our roads and bridges and water systems, but the kind of housing situation we are seeing right here in this community. We can put people to work all over America building affordable housing. Second of all, working with Congressman John Conyers of Michigan, he and I have introduced legislation that would provide 1 million jobs specifically for low-income kids, disproportionately, again, African American and Hispanic kids. Makes a lot more sense to me to be getting kids jobs rather than seeing them hang out on street corners and end up in jail.
Sanders was greeted by supporters, including Sandtown resident Julius Johnson.
He's the only one running without a super PAC. He's the only one that ain't got all them big billions of dollars behind him.
Why is that important to you?
We don't need all them people in there with all that money. What they gonna do with it? Nothing, like they doing now.
Others, like Johns Hopkins hospital worker Shirai Nixon, say they weren't aware of Sanders' platform but found it appealing.
So Sanders is the only candidate that's really saying universal health care, free education for everybody. Does that resonate with you?
Yes, it does. Actually, that would be great. And like I said, if he could put some more money into the fundamental things for the kids, like after school programs, that is really important. That's something that was taken away. So like I said, we do have a high crime thing, you know. But if he does that, things will change.
The public housing situation has been worse than scandalous in that they've allowed the housing.
Everyone, we're turning left. We're going this way.
Some who went to hear Senator Sanders' message also aimed to raise awareness over issues like police brutality and chanted for Freddie Gray. Among them was Gilmore Homes resident Kiana, who also participates in weekly protests demanding justice for Tyrone West, who was killed in police custody over 2 years ago in Baltimore.
We're gonna fight for Freddie Gray all night, all night. We're gonna fight for Freddie Gray all night, all day. We're gonna fight for Freddie Gray. Even when y'all gone, we're gonna be fighting. Y'all gone, we're gonna be Black Lives Matter forever. Black Lives Matter. Rest in peace, Freddie Tyrone West.
Every day.
What you gonna do to end police brutality. What is you going to do to end these scandalous politician games that they play with our lives? What is you going to do to end this? The community want to debate. We got our own voice.
We asked several Sanders supporters if they would continue to agitate for the policies he stands for, even if he doesn't get the Democratic nomination.
I guess I'd have to vote for Hillary or O'Malley if need be, but I'm hoping that Bernie gets the election.
Would you still continue your being involved in these different causes, even if Bernie Sanders loses the primary? Would you still continue the work you're doing now?
Oh, absolutely. The revolution needs to continue either way. I mean, Bernie Sanders is bringing up a lot of issues that need to be dealt with right now, and just because if he doesn't get elected, then we need to keep continuing because it's our duty to help make this country better.
What if Bernie Sanders doesn't win the primary?
I'm not going to stop making other elected officials uncomfortable about the same conversation. I mean, if I have no choice to vote for Hillary, I'm going to make it very hard for her to accept it.
Yeah, and it's just continuing to fight the good fight. And if you believe in something, that's what you have to become. And yeah, just keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, we're not going to give up.
No, I can't. Too old for that.
Yeah, no, right?
So you're going to do both. You're going to continue activism, try to push the Democrats to the left, but you're still going to support, most likely, Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely. I think it's about going out and talking to your representatives. The point of having representatives, whether it's the president, whether it's your congressman, your city councilman, is when you have an issue, you call them and you say, I think you should vote this way. I think you should push this. And you put pressure on them, and you can do that with Bernie, you can do it with Hillary, you can do it with my city councilman, Nick Mosby.
From Baltimore, this is Jessel Noor.